This family was happily posing for a group photo, but the adopted boy sat alone on the stairs. His mom called him over to join, and a flicker of surprise crossed his face. He stood awkwardly beside them, and with the click of the camera, this black boy felt the warmth of a home for the very first time. This is a true story that has moved countless hearts. The boy's name was Michael Oher. At just 16, he stood an astonishing 6 feet 8 inches tall and weighed a staggering 360 pounds. Yet he was quiet and withdrawn, failing every subject in school. Michael had been drifting since birth. His mother was a drug addict, and he had never known his biological father. In a few short years, he had been shuffled through over a dozen foster homes, but no one had ever truly cared for him. He often overheard his foster parents arguing about his presence, and Michael knew it was time to leave. He returned to a life of homelessness, scavenging leftover popcorn at stadiums when hungry, and sleeping in the school gymnasium when tired. That was until the Tuohy family came into his life, finally offering him a warm and loving home. Sean rolled down his car window and asked Michael where he was headed. Michael replied, "The gym." Watching the thinly clad Michael walk away in the opposite direction, and told Sean to turn back. She caught up to Michael and asked why he was going to the gym so late. Under Anne's gentle persistence, Michael hesitantly explained that the gym was warmer, and then asked if he had a place to stay that night. He nodded, but under Anne's stern gaze, he shook his head slightly, and exchanged a look with Sean, and then invited Michael into the car. They brought him to their large, beautiful home. Born in the projects, Michael had never seen such a big house, let alone slept on such a comfortable sofa. But back in their bedroom, and couldn't sleep, she asked Sean if Michael would steal anything. Sean simply said, "We'll know in the morning." The next morning, when he came downstairs, she was met with a surprising sight. The blanket on the sofa was folded neatly. Nothing was missing, and Michael had already quietly left, and felt a pang of shame for her prejudice. She caught up to Michael and told him it was Thanksgiving and invited him to celebrate with them, and called everyone to the table for dinner. Michael approached hesitantly, and their daughter Collins handed him a plate. Michael cautiously took a small portion of fried rice and vegetables, and then secretly grabbed a roll, afraid of being disliked for eating too much. When and came out of the kitchen, Sean and the kids were sprawled on the sofa, ready to watch a game, while Michael sat alone at the dining table, quietly eating his meal, and was deeply touched by this scene. She turned off the TV and brought all the food to the dining table, and announced that it was Thanksgiving and they should say a prayer together. They joined hands, and Collins slowly reached out to Michael. SJ, her brother, gestured for him to take her hand. The family held hands together in prayer. Michael cautiously opened his eyes, and when he saw and looking at him, he quickly lowered his head again. After the prayer, they began to eat, and then asked Michael if he wanted to go shopping, as she wanted to buy him some clothes. But Michael said he had clothes, and pointed out he only had one set, and she wanted to give him more, and took Michael to a department store. But seeing the expensive price tags, the sensible Michael just shook his head, saying he didn't like them. Finally, he picked up the cheapest item, indicating he liked it, and bought him all the clothes anyway. That evening, and asked Michael if he wanted to stay with them. Michael replied that he didn't want to go anywhere else. In his short 16 years, he had been abandoned too many times, and prepared a separate room for Michael and got him a large bed that could comfortably fit him. Michael asked cautiously, "Is this for me? I've never had my own bed before," and was heartbroken. A bed, something so basic, was a luxury for this child. And returned to her room, her heart heavy. She made a bold decision. She would adopt Michael and give him a home. The news of a black boy living with Anne's family quickly spread through a circle of wealthy friends. Several socialites gathered to mock Anne. They sneered that Sean's few restaurants probably wouldn't be enough to feed the big guy, and even warned Anne to be careful, as her daughter was so beautiful, and having a black boy living in the house could lead to trouble, and was disgusted by their prejudice, and the gathering ended unpleasantly. One night, and tentatively asked her daughter for her opinion, but Collins, remembering the rumors at school, remained silent. However, the next day, Collins saw Michael kindly helping a little girl on the school playground swing, and her heart was touched by his gentleness. In the library, Michael deliberately avoided Collins. Noticing the strange looks from the girls around her, Collins suddenly realized she should protect Michael. She simply sat down beside Michael, and when Michael looked surprised, Collins said, "Don't look at me like that, just like when we do homework together at home." One day, Michael found Anne and made a strange request. He wanted to ask and to help him get a driver's license, and asked him why he wanted a license, especially since he didn't have a car. Michael explained that he just wanted to have an ID to prove who he was, and was determined to support Michael's idea. She didn't want to just let him live in their home. She wanted him to legally become a part of their family. While processing the adoption papers, and learned about Michael's tragic childhood for the first time in the agency's records. His mother was an addict who had given birth to over a dozen children. When Michael was 7, the police forcibly took him away from her. The caseworker said, "You don't even need his mother's consent to adopt this child," and still decided to visit Michael's biological mother. She was an incredibly gaunt and frail woman. Upon hearing that Michael was going to be genuinely adopted, she finally broke down in tears, and sat beside the woman, took her hand, and for the first time, the woman felt the weight of her own maternal shortcomings. Back home, Sean called a family meeting. He formally asked Michael if he wanted to join their family and become a part of it. Michael instinctively looked at Collins and then at his younger brother Sean Jr. and said, "I thought I already was." And so, Michael was officially adopted into the family, and he finally had an ID card of his own. To celebrate Michael getting his driver's license, Sean gave him a gift, a real car. And Michael didn't let them down. The family gradually discovered his incredible talent for football. He possessed astonishing strength, and the family decided to have him train and participate in games. But Michael had one weakness. In psychological tests, his protective instinct scored a perfect mark. He always subconsciously tried to protect everyone. Once, when Michael was driving SJ out, a truck suddenly swerved into their lane. Michael couldn't avoid it and crashed head-on. Alright, that's the end of today's story. If you have any thoughts on this film, please leave a comment below. And make sure you subscribe to catch more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in next one.